And then 2001, we see the third assessment report of IPCC being published. Similarly, in 2005, the COP11 takes place, and here in 2005, we hear about long-term climate action being talked about. Then in 2007, again, the fourth assessment report is being gets published for the IPCC. Why 2007 is important for India? Because it the report that came out, the IPCC fourth assessment report that came out, it painted a grim picture for India. Okay, following this fourth assessment report that came out from the IPCC, what India does now is that in 2008, India released the National Action Plan on Climate Change. Okay, and then in 2011, again, COP17 takes place in Durban. Now, now what is happening here is that all the countries that are a part of COP17, they call for a new regime, a new framework in regards to climate change and in regards to how the earth, how the welfare and the sustainable use of global resources or natural resources should be carried out. Now, 2011 is a very important or turning point. Why it's a important or a turning point in regards to blue economy? Because here in 2012, the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, also known as the Rio Plus 20 Summit, takes place. Now, here members call for developing a set of sustainable development goals, right? So, right now, in the global world order, or when it comes to climate change, a lot of countries talk about achieving the sustainable development goals, also known as SDGs, right? So when did it come into existence? Came into existence in 2012. Also, it is in 2012 that the idea of blue economy is proposed, and it is proposed by whom? It is proposed by small island developing states. Now, what are small island developing states? They are basically those countries that have very limited territory to them, and they are more or less island countries. Their main source of income is dependent on the oceans and seas of the world. So for them, for them to survive, they need to be dependent on the oceans and seas of the world. So that's why, from their perspective, they started talking about blue economy. Okay, then in 2014, again, the fifth assessment report of IPCC is published. Then in 2015, we have the Paris Agreement that takes place. Alongside, we see the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction also coming into existence. Then in 2017, the very first high level UN Ocean Conference is held in New York. And what's the main objective of the Ocean Conference? It's to support the implementation of SDG 14. Okay, 2019, we see a special report on ocean and cryosphere in a changing climate being produced by IPCC. Also, 2019 is important because COP25, which took place in Chile, was also labeled as Blue COP. Okay, 2021, India launches its own draft national blue economy policy. Also, we also have launched our maritime vision 2030. 2022 sees the second UN conference being held in Portugal, and 2025 sees the third ocean conference being held in Nice, France. The third iteration of the UN Ocean Conference was co-hosted by France and Costa Rica. So from this timeline, you can understand that the journey how the journey from the very first United Nations Conference on Human Environment took place in 1972 to the development of the terminology blue economy in 2012, and then later on in 2019 we are seeing a blue COP taking place in Chile, to 2022 2021, wherein India itself coming up with its own draft national blue economy policy, and so on and so forth. So this timeline tells you the growing importance of blue economy, and how it came into existence, and then how countries like India are adopting the concept of blue economy, right? Okay. What is blue economy? As I told you guys, it's a concept that was developed by small island developing states. Also, the short form is SIDS. Why they came up with this concept? Because they are dependent on the oceans and the seas of the world for their livelihood, for their growth, and for their survival. So for them, oceans are more important. So that's why they came up with this term, blue economy. Um, Now, if we look at some of the definitions of blue economy, so you guys remember Wu Hongbo, about whom which I mentioned just few slides back. So this is a definition that has been given by Wu Hongbo. He says that a blue economy is a long-term strategy aimed at supporting sustainable economic growth, economic growth, and through ocean related sectors and activities, while improving human well-being and social equity and preserving the environment. Okay, so a blue economy, now I've talked about blue economy so much. uh, why blue economy is very important. See, there are different types of economy, right? uh, some of you must have heard about brown economy, some of you must have heard about green economy, and then currently this presentation is talking about blue economy. Now what you have to understand is that blue economy is not just any other type of or color of the national economy. um, According to the Director General of National Maritime Foundation, blue economy is nearly the entire economy, and it is based upon the following three reasons according to him. So, what are those reasons? First and foremost, the ocean is the font of all life on earth, right? Now science tells us that the very first life existed in the ocean, and then later on from the oceans, life came onto land, right? So from seen from a blue economy perspective, this point clearly emphasizes that for countries to survive, for nations to grow and develop, they are ever dependent on the ocean, as all life on earth originates from the oceans, and we are very much dependent on the oceans for our overall well-being and survival. So the second point is that it is not we know we cannot uh, further degrade the environment, right? So right now, there is this talk going on to prevent the further debasement of the environment, right? And oceans and their subsets, the seas and all, they are an integral part of the environment. And just like you cannot let someone destroy the forests on the land, or the rivers that are there in the on that flow on the land. Similarly, it one should not destroy the habitat that is present in the oceans, as they are very much integral to us. And the third point, why as to blue economy is the overall economy, is that just like we are talking about the sustainable harvesting of the resources on the earth, but we are not talking about the sustainable harvesting of the resources that are there in our oceans and seas. So right now, if you do a quick Google search, what we'll find is that lot of people, they harvest any and every kind of marine resources without taking into consideration that they these resources can only generate in a limited in a period of time, and if we start using them in an unsustainable manner, there will come a time when there will be when our seas and oceans will be nothing but empty. Okay, so this is the definition of blue economy according to the Director General of National Maritime Foundation, which is the Indian Navy's think tank. Similarly, these are some of the other definitions as per the United States of America and as per the World Bank, right? Now, why did I give you a list of definitions on what the term or what the concept is all about? Because this perspective is crucial. Why? Because it shows that the blue economy is not only about conservation, but it is also about harmonizing prosperity with sustainability. Okay, so this is India's blue economy, which is currently in a draft format. It is just yet to be implemented. So, if you go through India's blue economy policy, you'll find the definition that has been mentioned. I'll just uh, talk about the definition in a brief. So, in India, the Ministry of Earth Sciences it defines the blue economy as a subset of the national economy that encompasses all oceans, all oceanic resources, marine infrastructure, coastal zones that is under our jurisdiction. Now, why such a definition has been given? Because this definition, according to the government of India, reflects three goals. Now, what are those three goals? First and foremost, the first goal is economic growth. The second one is environmental sustainability, and the third one, which is very important, is national security. Right. So, the definition that has been given by the government of India reflects the following three goals that I just mentioned: economic growth, environmental sustainability, and national security. So for India, which is a coastal nation, which has a shoreline of 7,500 kilometer, rich uh, has rich biodiversity and has strategic access to the Indian Ocean region. The blue economy is not just an opportunity; it's a necessity. It offers us a path to food security, clean energy, employment, and resilience against climate change, right? So, as the world is gravitating towards the oceans, as if you go through the news, if you go through various articles that are coming out on regarding the subject of international relations, geopolitics, so on and so forth, what you will find is that more and more people are talking about the oceans and seas of the world, how they are going to impact policies of different countries, how they are going to impact the relations between two or more countries. So, in such a case, India being a maritime nation with having a rich history, rich maritime history, if India wants to become a net security provider, at least in the Indian Ocean region, half of the Indo-Pacific, then for it, blue economy is a golden opportunity, right? if it develops its if India develops its blue economy opportunities, then India can grow at a pace that will be very useful for us, useful for the overall population. Okay, so now let us look at the different facets of blue economy. So there are many facets of blue economy. They start from, they begin from coastal tourism, right? So again, as I mentioned, India is a coastal nation, right from Gujarat till West Bengal, uh, and the island territories of Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep Islands, gives India an ample opportunity of uh, growing its coastal tourism. Currently, India is very much behind when it comes to coastal tourism, and if we want to grow, if we want to grow our blue economy process, then coastal tourism is a very important area that can be harnessed to not just boost the local economy, but then the country's economy also. The next facet of blue economy is oil and gas. Again, if you go through the news that has come up in the past few months, you will find that India has discovered oil and gas resources in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Similarly, uh, on various uh, parts of its coast, India has access to lot of underwater oil and gas resources. So again, one of the facets of blue economy is access to oil and gas. And naturally, if you have access to oil and gas, you can literally turbocharge your economy in situations wherein countries prevent you or try to put pressure on you from buying other fossil fuel resources from other countries like Russia, right? So if you have access to oil and gas in your own territory, then it's a boon. Okay. The third facet is fish processing. Okay. Again, we have a mm, rich history of maritime growth um, in India, and if people want to grow their economy, if people want to grow the local economy, fish processing is another area that is gaining traction a lot. Then there is shipbuilding. Marine fisheries is another area that India can work on. Ports are another area. As our economy grows, naturally we will need more and more ports to come up to help in the economic growth and progress of the country. Aquaculture is another area wherein India can make progress. Then there is desalination, uh, marine renewable energy, coastal protection, and lastly, marine biotech. So nowadays, we are seeing nowadays, if you see on YouTube or any other social media, there is this ad going on wherein companies talk about marine collagen to be consumed, so that it helps with a fairer glow in the skin, and it helps in strengthening your nails and hairs, and so on and so forth. So not just collagen, but sea is a very good source. You can obtain cheap protein from sea as well. You can get access to a lot of mm, natural chemicals that are there in various plants and various other organisms that are there in our sea, and those can be used for the further development of the human society as well. Now, why blue economy is very important, because you have to understand that blue economy also caters to all the sustainable development goals that are mentioned, right? So if you were to see blue economy from the perspective of sustainable development goal, most of you will think that blue economy only caters to life under water, which is sustainable development goal number 14. But as you see in the image that is there in front of you, blue economy cannot just help in understanding with the life underwater or SDG 14, but it also plays a prominent role in all the other SDGs as well, right from SDG 1, which talks about no poverty, to SGD 2, which talks about zero hunger, to SGD 3, which talks about good health. Even quality education can be derived. Uh, Quality education, which is SDG 4, can also come under blue economy, because you can teach the next generation how to interact with the ocean, how to make sure that the resources are used in a sustainable manner, how to keep the oceans and sea clean and long running and everlasting, so that it's not just beneficial for the current generation, but is also beneficial to the coming generation, right? So despite, despite the fact that blue economy meets all the SDGs, there are some challenges that are ahead, for countries like India, which have a huge coastline. So what are those challenges? Some of those challenges can be categorized as overfishing, marine pollution, illegal mining. Climate change also poses major threats, so those are some of the challenges. Then governance is also another concern. One thing people have to understand is that the ocean doesn't respect national borders, so therefore it is very important to have uh, global cooperation when it comes to blue economy. Okay, for India, additional challenges include, upgrading technology. A lot of our ports, a lot of our infrastructure along our coastline is not that much updated, so we have to upgrade the technology. We have a huge population, so we should invest our population into building human capacity from a blue economy perspective. And then, our coastal development goals should align with our sustainability goals, right? So coming to the end of the presentation, to conclude, India's road to blue economy is not just about economics, it's about reimagining our relationship with the ocean. It's about using science and policy to balance prosperity with preservation. The ocean doesn't belong to us, right? Neither the land belongs to us, nor any of the natural resources belong to us. We are just using them, right? So if and one thing we have to remember is that uh, the earth doesn't belong to us, we belong to the earth, right? And if we wish to sustain life on this planet, we have to treat the earth, we have to treat the blue economy as a collective mission, right? This mission should unite governments, industries, and citizens alike, right? So instead of working individually when it comes to blue economy, if we all unite together and we work as one single concentrated force, we can take we can take the concept of blue economy further. And we can help not just the people who are living in our coastal zones or coastal areas, but then the whole country in the long run, right? So with this, I would finish my presentation, and these are my references.